We are now on day 10 of our operation against Hamas. We are continuing our efforts to destroy Hamas's capabilities within the Gaza Strip, make sure that their leadership is pursued, and eliminate their offensive capabilities. So Hamas, its leader in the Gaza Strip, his name is Yehya Sinwar. He is the mastermind of the massacre. He's the person that payrolled it. He's the person that instructed on its execution. And he is a target of Israel. We are focusing a lot of attention to that. But not only on him, the whole chain of command, we are determined to level this. And we have a very, very big book of people who are involved personally, organizationally, and indeed, these terrorists will pay for their action. I can say we're continuing, and almost every day we are targeting and eliminating terrorists that have been involved in this attack. Just yesterday, we announced that we killed Bilal al-Qidra, who was a terrorist in the special forces of Hamas, the Nukhba force, which is like a commando unit, very well equipped and trained. These were the breaching forces that came over the fence and into the communities. This guy, this guy, I call him a guy, this abomination of a human being, breached into Kibbutz Nirim and conducted his atrocities, and then rushed back into Gaza Strip. He didn't last long, and indeed he was killed by our Air Force and a strike against him. On the operational issue, we're looking forward. We are now in day 4 of a mass evacuation of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians living in the northern Gaza Strip. We announced that we are calling for people to evacuate the area and move south beyond Gaza Wadi, which is a wetlands in the center of the Gaza Strip, and below going south beyond the city of Gaza. Gaza City has become the bastion of barbarism. That is where they are holed up. That is where they have the heart of their operations lies. And that is why we're telling people from that area, you have to evacuate because you are under threat, and we do intend in operating against the terrorist organization Hamas, wherever they are hiding. So that is happening. I'm happy to say we've seen that people are actually listening to our warnings, despite Hamas trying to prevent that from happening. They prevented it both in kind of announcements, social media, telling people to stay put. Who does that? There are people coming, military operations coming, and they say, no, don't go, don't leave, sacrifice yourself. They also erected physical barriers, so they had checkpoints preventing movement of people going south. And they also we have a report that at least on one occasion, it appears that they even booby-trapped one of the roads that was of convoys that were heading south. We've investigated. There was a reported strike, on the supposed strike by the Air Force on a convoy heading south. We've been able to rule out an Israeli strike. And by looking at the footage, it appears that the explosion actually took place from the ground up and not the other way around, as you would expect if it was an airstrike. So it appears also that it was not a targeted strike, but just something that was perhaps a roadside bomb, an improvised explosive device intended to create a devastating image by Hamas and to prevent them from evacuating. But we are maintaining our battle rhythm, I would say. The timeline, we have no restrictions. The government has not said you have to end it by next week or whatever. The situation is an open-ended mission. I think what will determine the end of the mission is the demise and extinction of Hamas. That will be the determining factor. When Hamas no longer exists as an organization, as a government, as a ruling organization that uses the Gaza Strip as a staging ground for butchering babies in their bedrooms, that's when the operation will end. So we have confirmed today that there are 199 people abducted by Hamas. Hamas is holding 199 people. That is 199 families torn to pieces. That is the devastating fact of this story. And while obviously we are concerned of these people, of their well-being, I can't elaborate too much for obvious operational reasons, and also out of the respect of the families that are, just heartbroken and living in this sheer sense of concern for their loved ones. I also don't want to speak too much on this issue because it could jeopardize the potential attempts to find, locate, and advance their swift return home. So I will say Hamas are responsible for their well-being. They need to release them now, but they are part of our, I would say, at the top of our priority list with regard to this operation, with this mission, with this war that we are fighting against Hamas. So Hezbollah, over the course of the last days, has increased and escalated its efforts against Israel under the guidance and instruction of Iran, actually. They fired anti-tank guided missiles several times, even killing people across the border. So we see a distinct escalation on the border. They're trying to challenge Israel, challenge the IDF. Our goal currently is to maintain our positions to prevent escalation there, but we are responding at every attack that takes place. We are responding with force and decisive force, I must say. 300,000 is the number of reservists that have been called up. It's unprecedented in Israel's history. It's a vast amount of servicemen and women. And I would say that everybody is coming together and rallying around this incident. Nobody in their right mind, and if you just think 10, 12 days ago, how divided our society was over internal politics, this has brought the country together in a way where everybody across the political spectrum has joined the military, wants to volunteer, wants to come forward in order to defend the country and prevent atrocities that were conducted by this brutal merciless terrorist organization ever again. So I would say morale in the soldiers is reflected in society. It's not only the soldiers that have been recruited to the war effort. Throughout the country, in different neighborhoods, there is food collection. There are people collecting toothpaste and toothbrushes and all different types of things to donate to soldiers. People are cooking cookies and sending them to soldiers and in thanks for people who are motivated and part of the effort. So I would say society are looking at this situation in shock and horror in the aftermath of the attack, not willing for that to be our reality. And therefore, society has come together in order to prevent that from ever happening again.